Ever wondered what happens when history stops being noble and starts getting deeply weird? Well, today's your lucky day, because we're diving face first into the stuff your history teacher definitely skipped. The kind of facts that make you go, wait, they did what? With a corpse? From royal dental hobbies that give your dentist nightmares to a literal dance party that ended in actual death, this episode pulls no punches. It's gross, it's absurd, it's historically accurate somehow, and yes, exploding trousers are involved. So if you've ever wanted to learn about the past while laughing and raising those eyebrows, stay tuned and welcome. History isn't dead, it's just really, really weird.
Secrets of history. Truth buried like mystery. Two beats rolling with the funk on lock. Let's get past. Tick tock, tick tock.
Weird fact number 1, the corpse pope? It's the year 897 AD. The Roman Empire is long gone, the Middle Ages are in full swing, and the Catholic Church? Oh baby, it's in absolute chaos. Think Game of Thrones, but with more incense and fewer dragons. Enter Pope Formosus. He was your average 9th century pope. A bit power hungry, made some enemies, definitely stepped on a few sandals in his climb to the top. But wait, Formosus dies in 896, peacefully. Probably thought he was off the hook. Spoiler alert, he was not. Because the next pope, Stephen VI, hated Formosus's guts, and apparently his bones too. He was so mad at him, posthumously mind you, that he decided,
Hey, why don't we dig up the dead Pope's corpse and put him on trial?
Your Honor, I present the defendant, one severely decomposed, slightly worm-eaten former pope.
yes, you heard that right. They literally exhumed Formosa's corpse, dressed it in papal robes, propped it on a throne in court like Weekend at Bernie's, Vatican edition, and held a full-blown cadaver synod. Stephen VI did the talking, obviously, because, well, Formosus was a little tongue-tied. His skeleton sat there, slumped and probably stinking to high heaven, while a deacon answered questions on his behalf.
Did you unlawfully ascend to the papacy?
Maybe.
The charges were weird and mostly political. Stuff like being pope while already being bishop somewhere else, a big no-no, and violating church law. Which, okay, maybe he did. But he was dead, man. Dead. There's a reason you don't see Judge Judy interrogating skeletons. The result? Guilty. Formosus was found guilty of papal crimes. His body was stripped of the papal robes again, had his 3 blessing fingers chopped off. Yes, they cut off a corpse's fingers, and was thrown into a grave. But wait, because this is the Middle Ages and subtlety was not invented yet, he was dug up again and tossed in the Tiber River like a bag of expired meat. Public opinion turned fast. People were like, yo, maybe putting a rotting corpse on trial was a bit much. So, Pope Stephen VI? Not so popular anymore. Shortly after, Stephen was imprisoned and strangled to death in his cell. Honestly, poetic justice. Don't start zombie drama unless you're ready for zombie karma. So, what can we learn from this? Never mess with dead popes. The Middle Ages were wild. If your political rival dies, just let it go. And finally, if you ever feel like you've made a bad decision, remember there was once a man who argued with a corpse and lost. Weird fact number 2, the plague dance. Welcome to Strasbourg, 1518. The Holy Roman Empire is doing its thing. Being holy, being Roman, being very medieval. Life is hard, bread is dry, and everyone smells vaguely like cabbage. But then something magical, and by magical, I mean deeply concerning, happens. A woman, let's call her Frau Trophea, steps into the street and starts dancing. Alone. No music, no TikTok trend. Just pure, unfiltered medieval groove. People are like,
okay, you do you.
But then, plot twist, she keeps going. For days.
Is she all right?
She's been doing the worm since Tuesday.
Soon, dozens of others join in. Not because they want to. This isn't a medieval Zumba class. It's because they can't stop. Their legs are doing the Macarena, but their souls are screaming for mercy. And people are dropping. Not like dropping it low. I mean collapsing from exhaustion. Some even died.
Well, clearly, this is a case of hot blood, obviously.
Yes, hot blood. The 1518 version of Have You Tried Turning It Off and On Again? Apparently, the solution was to dance it out. So they hired musicians to help the people dance more. Because what do you do when people are dancing themselves to death? You throw them a concert naturally. Spoiler alert, that didn't help. The plague lasted weeks. And to this day, no one really knows what caused it. Was it ergot poisoning? That's moldy bread that causes hallucinations. Delicious and horrifying. Mass hysteria? A really intense cardio cult? We may never know, but let's be honest. 1518 gave us the world's first flash mob, except it wasn't cute. It was terrifying and had a really dark beat. So remember, kids, if your feet start moving and your soul didn't give permission, it might not be rhythm. It might be history trying to kill you. All right, let's just hit pause for a second. So far, we've had a dead pope dragged into court like a haunted meat puppet and a 16th century dance-off that ended with actual fatalities. Honestly, if you're still here, you might be just as weird as history is. Ask yourself, would I survive the Middle Ages, or would I be the reason they write these stories? It would be great if you could give this video a like, hit subscribe if you want more strange but true chaos from the past, and drop a comment below. Team Dead Pope or Team Death Rave? Alright, time to dive back in. History's only getting weirder from here. Weird fact number 3, the exploding pants. In the tranquil hills of 1930s New Zealand, danger lurked not in the skies, but in men's trousers. Local farmers were battling a weed called ragwort, the weapon of choice, a powerful herbicide known as sodium chlorate. What they didn't know was that sodium chlorate had one weakness: fashion, specifically wool trousers and sunshine. Mixed with the Kiwi sun and natural body heat, the weed killer turned ordinary pants into ticking time bombs. Yes, this was not a metaphor. This was pants exploding in real life. Cows watched in silent judgment as their human caretakers spontaneously detonated like startled fireworks. Farmer Bill's trousers exploded during breakfast. Wife unharmed, cockerel traumatized. Some blamed the chemicals, others blamed the pants. Either way, local tailors never had it so good. Eventually, farmers were advised to dampen their clothes before spraying, or better yet, wear literally anything else.
That's it. I'm switching to denim.
Good choice. Denim doesn't detonate.
And so ended one of the least dignified disasters in agricultural history. The Great Kiwi Trouser Kaboom of 1932. Proof that even in paradise, your pants are not safe. Weird fact number 4, animal trials. In the bizarre world of the Middle Ages, justice wasn't just blind. Sometimes it was completely barking mad, because back then, animals could be put on trial. Yes, real trials for real crimes with real punishments. Take 1386, for example. A pig in France was arrested, charged with murder, found guilty, and hanged.
I mean, what was the pig's defense?
He pleaded not guilty.
I hate that I laughed.
And this wasn't a one-off. Cats, dogs, cows, even insects, they were summoned to court like any peasant, complete with trials, witnesses, sometimes even priests.
What were the rats charged with?
Evading capture, stealing grain, refusing to show up for jury duty.
In one famous case, a group of rats was summoned to court. The court criers shouted their names. They didn't appear. Shocking.
Did the judge issue a warrant?
Probably muttered something like, "Next time they're getting bailiffs with cheese."
Even locusts and beetles got the legal treatment. Imagine a courtroom with a bishop shouting at a caterpillar. To be fair, people believed animals could be possessed or act with intent, so trials were taken very seriously. Eventually, the idea fizzled out as humans realized maybe animals aren't exactly criminal masterminds, but for centuries, farm animals had to live with the fear that one bad apple or one trampled toe might land them on the gallows.
I knew pigs were smart, but murder? That's next level bacon.
And so ends one of the strangest chapters in legal history. The era when pigs were prisoners, rats were fugitives, and your chicken might just be next on trial. Weird fact number 5, corpse cam. In the 1800s, the Victorians had a peculiar way of saying goodbye. No cremation selfies, no tasteful urns, nope. They took family photos with the dead. This odd tradition was called memento mori, Latin for remember you will die, which frankly is a terrible slogan for a photography studio.
Imagine walking into Snappy Snaps and they hand you a coffin.
Or a coupon. Buy one frame, get one soul departed.
The idea was sentimental, a final photograph to remember your loved one. But the execution? Well, let's just say it had rigor mortis. Photographers got creative. Some posed the deceased like they were sleeping. Others, sitting in chairs, holding books, or staring directly into your soul.
That moment when you realize Uncle Jeffrey blinked less when he was alive.
And now he's holding a Bible, like he's judging you from beyond.
Sometimes living family members would sit around the body, smiling or not smiling, because no one knew how to smile in old-timey photos anyway.
Honestly, everyone in those photos looks like they just lost a bet.
The eerie part? You often can't tell who's dead. The only clue might be a blur, because corpses sit still, but toddlers don't.
So if you move, you're the alive one?
Exactly. It's Victorian hide and seek, corpse edition.
While creepy to us now, back then it was an act of love. Photography was rare and expensive. This might be the only image a family ever had of someone.
I mean, I get it. It's sweet. In a haunt your dreams forever kind of way.
Yeah, like thanks for the trauma, Nana. Love you always.
Eventually, the trend faded because cameras got cheaper and because, honestly, we invented therapy. So next time someone says, pictures last forever, spare a thought for the Victorians, the original influencers of post-mortem content. Because nothing says eternal love like a black and white portrait with someone who's already crossed to the other side. Right, quick pause. So, we've seen a dead pope dragged into court and a medieval death rave. And just when you thought it couldn't get weirder, farmers started accidentally detonating their own pants in 1930s New Zealand. The Victorians posed for family portraits with dead grandma propped up like a mannequin. And medieval courts genuinely held trials for pigs with lawyers. At this point, history isn't a timeline, it's a fever dream. If your brain is still intact after all this, tap that like button, subscribe for more history's greatest wait what moments, and drop a comment. Which one broke your sanity? All right, enough emotional damage. Let's get back to the video. Weird fact number 6, Lord of the Molars. Peter the Great, Czar of Russia, builder of empires, reformer of traditions, and surprise dental enthusiast with a pair of pliers and 0 qualifications. Yes, history remembers Peter for expanding the Russian Empire. But what they don't tell you is that he also expanded his tooth collection. And not in a cute tooth fairy kind of way, in a give me your molar or I'll take it myself kind of way. You see, Peter had a thing for dentistry, not his dentistry, yours. If you were unlucky enough to be within a 5-foot radius of Peter and had even the slightest overbite, he'd suddenly transform into the Russian tooth fairy of your nightmares. And let's be clear, this was not the kind of man you wanted near your face with tools. There are actual records, no joke, of Peter practicing dentistry on unwilling subjects. He once visited a medical school in Leiden, Netherlands, and instead of observing, he said, "Hand me the pliers, I'm going in." Because apparently building Russia's navy wasn't hands-on enough.
Don't worry, you won't feel a thing. Yeah, after you black out.
Peter didn't discriminate either. Nobles, peasants, diplomats. If you had teeth, you were eligible. He even kept the extracted ones in a display case. Like trophies, some people collect stamps. Peter collected human incisors. Just normal czar hobbies. Can you imagine being at a royal party and Peter walks over, drink in hand, and says,
Your smile is inefficient. Come with me.
Suddenly, you're horizontal. There's a foot on your chest, and Peter's yanking like he's starting a lawnmower. So why did he do it? Some say he was fascinated by Western medicine. Others think it was about control, power, or just a little light czarist sadism. But me, I think Peter was just Russia's first influencer for DIY home dentistry. In the end, Peter the Great gave Russia a navy, a modern capital, and at least 200 people with PTSD triggered by the smell of pliers. Weird fact number 6. If you ever think your dentist is a little intense, just remember, at least he's not a 6'8" monarch with godlike power and a jar full of teeth. Peter the Great, Russia's most terrifying dental plan. Like, comment, and floss. Or else. Weird fact number 7. The Great Stink. London, 1858. The height of Victorian elegance, top hats, horse-drawn carriages, and the unmistakable aroma of boiling human excrement. Yes, dear viewer, this is the story of the Great Stink, when the River Thames turned into Britain's largest and most fragrant toilet. You see, in those days, London's solution to sewage was simple. Throw it in the Thames. Job done. Toilets, Thames. Chamber pots, Thames. Dead rats, used socks, political dreams, Thames. And then came the heat wave of 1858. Temperatures soared. The Thames began to ferment like the devil's soup. And Londoners learned the hard way that cooked poo smells even worse than raw poo. But it wasn't just peasants who suffered. Oh no, the stench rose directly into the Houses of Parliament, which, ironically, was located right next to the river, a bold choice for people who talk so much crap. MPs tried everything: curtains soaked in vinegar, nose plugs made of poshness and denial. At one point, they debated moving Parliament upwind, but in the end, the smell won. The poop passed a bill. Enter Joseph Bazalgette, civil engineer and unsung hero of your modern plumbing. He designed a massive new sewer system so revolutionary, it made the Thames slightly less awful. And get this, the sewers he built are still in use today, which is more than you can say for most members of Parliament. So next time you're on the loo, flushing your troubles away, remember, it took an entire summer of cooked human waste to convince Victorian Britain that maybe, just maybe, poo shouldn't be in the drinking water. The Great Stink, because Parliament won't act until it smells like butt. Like, comment, and flush responsibly. And there you have it. A whirlwind tour through history's strangest, stinkiest, most spectacularly stupid moments. From a pope on trial for crimes committed after death to exploding pants and rivers that smelled like Satan's soup kitchen, humanity's past has taught us one thing: history. Proof that common sense is not so common. So next time you're doom scrolling or questioning humanity, just remember, at least you're not having your teeth pulled out at a dinner party, dancing yourself to death in the streets, or having your pet hamster put on trial for murder. And if you are, well, congrats, you're about to make the sequel. Thanks for watching history's biggest what the Smash that like button, subscribe for more weirdness from the past, and drop a comment telling us which historical moment made you question humanity the most. And remember, history, proving humans have always been weird. Thanks for watching.
Weird secrets of history. Truth buried like mystery. Two beats rolling with the funk on lock. Let's beat the past. Tick tock, tick tock.